Say what you want about episode 1, that movie had some great lightsaber fighting. And you can't have great lightsaber fighting without great lightsabers. What's going on, guys? I'm Josh, this is Josh Builds Stuff, and today we are looking at more LEGO lightsabers. Specifically, lightsabers featured in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Before me, I have Obi-Wan Kenobi's Padawan lightsaber, Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber, and of course, Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber. These are obviously not official LEGO sets. I found these on Rebrickable.com. They were created by a user who goes by the name built_bricks. You can find him on Rebrickable.com or on Instagram with that same name. He has created a bunch of awesome LEGO lightsaber models. You can buy the instructions on Rebrickable.com. It comes with a full parts list, and then you could build these yourself. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at all of these lightsabers right now. So let's talk details of these lightsabers. Obviously we have Obi-Wan's Padawan lightsaber, Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber, and Darth Maul's saber. The first thing that is worth noting is that I did make a few substitutions to the instructions, but they were minor. One is this gray piece here is supposed to be black. However, that specific engine piece only comes in one set that was released years and years ago. And I think if you want that piece in black, it'll cost about $20 by itself. I was building these on a budget, so that piece came from somewhere else in my collection. The other notable substitution is on Darth Maul's lightsaber. These quarter cylinder pieces are actually supposed to be big half cylinders. Instead of using 4 of these, you would use one of those. And so the original instructions called for 16 of those half cylinder pieces. However, those were harder to source and a little more expensive, so I opted to use 64 of these little pieces instead. That being said, let's talk specifics. You may notice right off the bat that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's lightsabers both seem a little more substantial than Darth Maul's. That's because they're built slightly differently. These two are built in the same way, whereas this is built in what you would think is a more traditional lightsaber way. Darth Maul's lightsaber, as you can see, is built up of just a bunch of cylindrical pieces, and so it is a relatively uniform diameter throughout the entire piece. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's lightsabers both have this slightly square design to them. They're not built on a cylindrical base. There's actually a square block piece down the center of both of these. It gives them a slightly square, slightly blocky, non-perfectly cylindrical look, and I kind of like that a lot because it makes them feel more LEGO built than if we just slapped a bunch of cylinders together. Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber, obviously most of this center piece is built using the same way with a square block down the middle, and obviously the pommel and emitter pieces are built separately since those are fairly complex designs in and of themselves. Let's look at these individually, and I'll give some likes and dislikes of each. First up is Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and you may notice when I'm picking it up, I'm holding it from both ends. That's because it has one little bit that I don't like, and that's if I hold it normally, it has a tendency to loosen and break at that one weak point. Unfortunately, there's no pin going through there, and so that piece is likely to fall off. The pommel is also connected in a similar fashion, so it too can fall off. So I'm not crazy about when I set it down. It almost always bends a little right at that joint and almost breaks just setting down, which is a major bummer. Otherwise, when it's sitting still, the overall look and shape of the lightsaber is really great. I would love if that piece was black. It's not a big deal to me. I love the way the ridges are done along the grip here. I love how the pommel has a somewhat spherical look to it, which is not easy to accomplish using LEGO. I love that in all the lightsabers on the emitter, he included a little trans clear piece in the color that matches the lightsaber color. The top of this lightsaber is where a lot of the really unique details come through. It's obviously a lot going on in a very small space. It is 6 separate panels with a Technic pin down the middle, and those are slid together kind of like this to make your kind of look like a cylinder there. I think overall the effect works really well. I like that the belt clip is included in both Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's. Those look nice. I like that there are no studs showing across the surface of the lightsaber. It makes this feel more like a model and less like a toy. In terms of size, I think this lightsaber is pretty well sized. You can see it in my hand. I'm a pretty big dude and this fits me pretty well. Next, let's take a look at Qui-Gon's lightsaber, but I first want to show it next to Obi-Wan's just to do a little size comparison here. I'll line them up at the base and you can see that Qui-Gon's is quite a bit bigger than Obi-Wan's, but I think that's pretty true to the actual designs. Up next we have Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber, and I have to say that this is a personal favorite lightsaber of mine across all the movies, and so I may be a little biased towards this model. One thing that sets this saber apart from the other two is that it's much more stable. Because it's got basically the same structure running across the entire length, you don't have to worry about the top or bottom bending or flexing or falling off as you pick it up and move it around. The overall design of this lightsaber, I think, is pretty true to the actual design, but I really like how he captured all of the details across the back here. Again, the great looking ridge pieces, the overall smoothness. The only studs that are visible are these showing on the side, which again, I kind of like because you can tell it's made of Lego without it being so in your face about it. All in all, I think the designer did a great job capturing the overall look and feel of this lightsaber. For another size comparison, this one feels really great. I can even hold it with two hands and it still mostly fits in my hands. And so between its accurate size and stability and my personal bias, I think this is probably my favorite out of the three that we're looking at today. Last, let's bring in Darth Maul's lightsaber. There we go. Last up, let's bring in Darth Maul's lightsaber, but first let's line them all up just so you can get a size comparison between the three. In terms of size, I think Darth Maul's comes in a little small, especially compared to Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan's lightsabers, which are much closer, I think, to movie accurate. So looking at Darth Maul's lightsaber, and with this one, I'm a little on the fence. You see, it's slightly undersized and slightly boring, I'm going to say. Almost the entire lightsaber is just cylindrical pieces that are all exactly the same diameter. I don't think the fault lies entirely with the designer of this model. It's very hard to get slightly varying diameters on cylinders, especially at this scale. The other thing is Darth Maul's lightsaber is kind of simple. I think these alternating gray pieces are supposed to represent the ridged pieces that are on the actual lightsaber, but in reality, there's not a ton going on the body of Darth Maul's lightsaber. I do think that the emitters here are really well detailed. They look really great. Again, we've got the pieces on the end to represent the blade color. I will say, like Obi-Wan's lightsaber, this one had some trouble with stability. So you may see I'm handling it delicately because when I set it down, it wants to flex at certain points. Because of the way this is built, from the center going out in both directions, that means that our studs are facing two different ways across the length of the saber. Because of that, they have to be connected in the middle. What I've done is stuck a Technic piece basically through the length of half this lightsaber and then joined some Technic rod pieces and pin pieces throughout the rest of the body to try to improve the stability a little bit. I would recommend doing that if you're looking to build this yourself. It definitely needs stability because you can see pieces come apart relatively easily. In terms of scale, I mentioned this is slightly undersized. You can see it feels a little puny in my hands. The red and gray buttons here are obviously smaller than the buttons on the other lightsabers. I don't know if that's more aesthetic than practical, but it adds to this look that the lightsaber is a little small. So in my opinion, if you were on the fence about buying and building any of these, I would say my favorite is Qui-Gon Jinn's by far. Second favorite is Obi-Wan's, and then Darth Maul's unfortunately comes in a third place. So you might be wondering, how much would it cost if you wanted to build these same lightsabers? Well, that's a little hard to say because obviously they're fan-made, and so you're going to have to source and buy the pieces yourself, and those are going to vary in cost. The best I can say is that Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan's lightsabers probably cost about $25 a piece, and then Darth Maul's probably cost closer to $50. Of course, there's a chance you already have some of the pieces necessary to build these, and so obviously you won't have to buy those again, but there are some little things like the gray engine piece that I substituted that's supposed to be black. That piece alone will run you about 20 bucks, and so that'll increase the cost of Obi-Wan's lightsaber. On Darth Maul's lightsaber, the half cylindrical gray pieces that I substituted for the 64 little quarter cylinder pieces, I think those will probably run you a lot. Those alone may have cost another $20 to spend. That's what drove this up to $50. All I can say is you may have to shop around a little bit and substitute pieces here and there, so maybe $100 for the 3 of these is the best estimation I can give you. So now I must ask you a very important question. If I were to build more LEGO lightsabers, which lightsabers would you like to see? Obviously, this episode was Phantom Menace themed, so it could be lightsabers from a specific movie or one character's lightsabers. However, I will stipulate one thing. No arguing about the Anakin versus Luke's versus Rey's lightsaber. We all know that it was Anakin's lightsaber first, but then it was given to Luke, and then it was given to Rey. So it was all of their lightsabers. Heck, Finn used a lightsaber at one point in time. It was partially his. Han Solo cut open a tauntaun with that lightsaber. For that short period of time, it was his. We don't know, maybe Obi-Wan Kenobi was dual wielding that lightsaber and his lightsaber on Tatooine while he was waiting for Luke to grow up, chopping up Jawas and Tusken Raiders. Maybe Maz Kanata took the lightsaber for a spin on Takodana while she was chilling in her castle before stashing it in a box in her basement. All I'm saying is that we don't need more of that argument. If you want me to build Anakin's lightsaber, or Luke's, or Rey's, just specify which version you're talking about. As always, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to give me a like and a comment down below. If you're interested in some other videos, I'll put them right over here. Next to Darth Maul, who's been staring at me in the background this entire time, and for the past several weeks. It's kind of creepy. Still staring. I'll see you next time.